Okay, last video for the week. I just want to take a look at a couple more of these problems dealing with the distance formula. Okay, so if we're looking for PQ, that's the distance from point P to point Q. Okay, and remember that will be the square root of the change in x, or delta x squared, plus the change in y, or delta y squared. Remember, delta means change, change means subtraction. Okay, so I have to subtract the x coordinates here. So I could go 2 minus 11 or 11 minus 2. It doesn't make any difference because I'm going to square that. So I'm just going to go 11 minus 2. Plus delta y, we got to subtract the y coordinates. And again, it doesn't make any difference which order you subtract because you're going to square the result. So I could go 3 minus 13 or 13 minus 3. I'm going to go 13 minus 3. Okay, so let's see. This is the square root of 11 minus 2 is 9. So that's 9 squared. 13 minus 3 is 10. So that's 10 squared. So I get the square root of 81 plus 100. That is the square root of 181. Okay, now, remember, I've got to look for factors that are perfect squares. I don't think there are any. Okay, 181, I know it's not, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna write these guys down. Okay, we have 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, 6 squared is 36, 7 squared is 49, okay, 8 squared is 64, 9 squared is 81, 10 squared is 100, 11 squared is 121, 12 squared is 144, 13 squared is 169, 14 squared is 196, 15 squared is 225. Okay, now, let's see. I know this is gone from 100 on up. They're too big, okay? So let's see. 4 would definitely not be a factor because that's an odd number. So an even number is definitely not a factor of an odd number. So the 4 gets thrown out, the 16 gets thrown out, the 36 gets thrown out, the 64 gets thrown out. Those are all even numbers. There's no way that an even number is a factor of an odd number. Okay, so we got to look at 9. So 181 divided by 9. That doesn't work out. 25, I definitely know it's not divisible by 25. It would have to end in a 5 or 0. 49. All right, 181 divided by 49. Nope, doesn't work. Okay, 81, definitely not going to work. 181 divided by 81 definitely doesn't work. No. So, okay, this guy has no factors that are perfect squares. Okay, so that is your answer right there. The square root of 81 is the distance from P to Q. Okay, try one more like that. Okay, so I'm looking at the distance from T to V. T to V. So again, remember it is the square root of delta x, which is the change in x squared, plus delta y, which is a change in y squared. Okay, so let's see, change is subtraction. So I got to subtract the x coordinates and square that. So I'm going to go 5 minus a negative 4. Okay, plus, let's see, I got to subtract the y coordinates and square that. I'm going to go 0 minus a negative 9. Okay, so let's see, this is 9, so I get 9 squared plus this is 9. Okay, so I'm going to get 9 squared. So we get the square root of 81 plus 81. Now, isn't 81 plus 81 162? Okay, so that's 162, but it's also equal to 81 plus 81 is equal to 81 times 2. Now you say, why would you do that? Because 81 is a perfect square. Okay, the square root of 81 is 9, and then I can't do anything with the square root of 2. So in simplest radical form, the distance is 9 radical 2. Okay. That's some pretty easy stuff. Okay, so let's take a look at this guy. All right, so it wants us to figure out, okay, is segment AB congruent to segment TV? Okay. Okay, so I've got to figure out the length of AB and the length of TV, like that. Okay, so let's see, AB. It looks like on this graph, A would have coordinates -9 and 8. Okay, and B would have coordinates 0, 5. Okay, so let's do AB first. Okay, so let's see. I got to subtract the x coordinates and square that. So 0 minus a -9, square that. And then subtract the y coordinates, that's my delta y, and square that. So I'm going to go 8 minus 5. Like that. Okay, so let's see what we got going on. Okay, so let's see. That would be 9 squared plus this would be 3 squared. Okay, so I get the square root of 81 plus 9, which is the square root of 90. Okay, now going back to my perfect square numbers, I know that 9 is a perfect square number, and obviously 9 is a factor of 90. So let's see, this would be the square root of 9 times 10. And when I take the square root of 9, I get 3. So I get 3 times the square root of 10. Okay, so I got AB. Now we got to do TV. Okay, let's see, TV. Okay, T, it looks like I have coordinates 1, -5. Okay, and V, it looks like I have coordinates 8 and -10. Okay, so we apply the distance formula, square root of delta x, so I got to subtract the x coordinates, so I go 8 minus 1 and square that, plus subtract the y coordinates, so I go -10 minus a -5 and square that. So let's see, this would be 7 squared plus this would be what, -5 squared? So I'm going to get the square root of 49 plus 25. That is the square root of 74. Okay, so I go back to these guys. Are there any factors here, okay, that are factors of 74? Well, let's see. I know 74 is an even number. So if we go 74 divided by 2, we get 37. Okay, so this guy right here is 2 times 37, and both of them are prime numbers, so there's no way to split them up anymore. Okay, so although 74 isn't prime, its only factors are prime, so it's in simplest radical form. Okay, so it looks like AB congruent to TV. It looks like that's a big no, because one of them is 3 radical 10, and the other one is radical 74. Okay, all right, so let's just make sure I got everything right here. Okay, that would be -9, 8. Okay, that'd be 0, 5. That would be 1, -5, and that guy would be 8, -10. Okay, so I have the coordinates right. Okay, yeah, it looks like this is a big no. They're not congruent because they don't have the same length. Okay, so let's see what happens with PQ and HK. So we got to do PQ, and then I got to do HK down here. Okay, so let's take a look at PQ. So let's see, P, it looks like we're at -9 and -8 right there. Q, it looks like we're at -5, 0. Okay, so I got to work here. So we see square root of, I got to subtract the x coordinates. So -9 minus a -5, square that, and then subtract the y coordinates. I have -8 minus 0, square that. Now I just got to simplify this. All right, so let's see. -9 minus a -5, that'd be -4 squared. -8 minus 0 obviously is -8. squared. Okay, so negative 4 squared is 16. And 8 squared is 64. So when I add those, I get the square root of 80. Okay, now we did square root of 80 in one of the videos. Okay, you have a factor of 16. Okay, and remember here, 16 is a perfect square number. That's what we're looking for. Okay, 80 is 16 times 5. Okay, so the square root of 16 is 4, and then you can't do anything with the square root of 5. Okay, let's do HK. Okay, so H, it looks like we are at 2, 3, right there. And K, it looks like we are at 10, 1. Okay, so let's take a look. Square root of. I have to subtract the x coordinates, 10 minus 2. And square that. And then I got to subtract the y coordinates. Okay, we have what, a 3 and a 1. And square that. Okay, all right, so let's see. Square root of. Okay, that would be 8 squared. And this would be 2 squared. So it looks like I'm going to get the square root of 64 plus 2 squared is 4. So I get the square root of 68. Now I'm pretty sure that 4 is a factor of 68. Remember, 4 is a perfect square number. Okay, so let's see, 68 divided by 4. Right, it's 4 times 17. So this would be the square root of 4 times 17. So I'm going to get square root of 4 is 2. And then we have radical 17 that we can't do anything with. Okay, so it certainly looks like, again, we end up with a situation where they have different lengths. Okay, so is PQ and HK, okay, are they good? It looks like it's no on both of these. Okay, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to check my work. I want to make sure I have the right coordinates. So let's see, let's do HK first. H is at 2, 3. Okay, good. K looks like it's at 10, 1. Okay. So if I subtract the x coordinates, 10 minus 2, and subtract the y coordinates, 3 minus 1, that definitely gives me 8 squared and 2 squared. Okay, so I'm good down here. Let's look at PQ. Well, P looks like it's at -9 and -8. I like that. And Q looks like it's at -5, 0. Okay. All right, so see if I subtract the x coordinates, it'd be -9 minus a -5. Okay. Okay, and subtract the y coordinate, -8 minus 0, so that'd be -4. That's 16. That'd be -8. That's 64. Yeah, we're good. So it doesn't look like either of these guys work out. Okay, it looks like A, B, and TV do not have the same length, so they're not congruent. And it looks like PQ and HK, okay, do not have the same length, so they're not congruent either. Okay, I just thought maybe we'd get one of these guys to work out. Okay, all right, so that'll wind it up for the week.